On average, people in the Netherlands on work days, they spend like 15 minutes in the kitchen, and people who really like to cook, they spend like 45 minutes max.
Later, African and Native American tribes unknowingly sold entire countries to European imperialists in exchange of colorful beads and cheap trinkets. When I was in 20s, I happened to come across quite a few exceptionally successful people who were in their 40s, 50s and 60s. Interestingly, the environment I was in and the relationship I had with them, I could ask them and what they would think about their own life that would make them happy and what in their own life will make them not so happy. I asked them the most bizarre questions, and they could have easily thought that this Indian man is absolutely crazy. But they didn't think me I was crazy. Perhaps no one asked them such questions before. My questions perhaps gave them the opportunity to look back at their lives. They patiently sat with me over a cup of coffee or sometimes over dinner or lunch and explained what made them happy and not so happy at certain times of their life, and I tried to reflect on that. I realized whatever generated so-called happiness in 20s and 30s of their age will not be the source of happiness when they reach 40s, 50s, or they become even wiser. Could it be the job? Regarding the job, if you think you are doing job only to earn money, then happiness will not come in your way. But if you think that your job is creating value to others, then success may be yours. All these stem from intense researches on University of Chicago General Social Survey, perhaps the best survey database in USA. So, it is not money, it is not actual job, then what it is? Every expert says different things about happiness. Mostly, it is the relationships with near and dear ones and feeling that you are doing something for others without an exchange value can give more happiness to you. And if I go through various researches of various psychologists and happiness experts, it boils down to faith, family, community, and work. That means the value adding work that you are doing. Today, I had the opportunity to talk to one of my good friends at one of the most happy countries in the world, Netherlands. My friends, Dr. Marieke van Leeuwen, a renowned scientist at Division of Psychosocial Research and Epidemiology at Antoni van Leeuwenhoek Hospital within Netherlands Cancer Institute. She researches on something very interesting, quality of life. Now it comes down to salary or money. There has to be a culture where we put unlimited significance to the money one earns. Money earned can be a real source of something which goes against our happiness. And I have been told that showing off your money and your properties in Netherlands is looked down upon, and people will not have a good idea about your upbringing if you do that. Social scientists actually did a lot of studies, and they said that apparently people in that society doesn't really care how much money someone earns in society, and people usually has got a generally equal outlook to someone who earns lot of money and someone who doesn't earn that much of money. Is this right on the books, or it is still true?
I think that's quite okay. Of course, there is a difference in status, but actually I'm from a higher economic status, but that's now almost a bad thing, because that you say you belong to the elite. I don't. Yeah. And this is a very negative thing, because then you think that society should be open to gay people, and they find that, or for foreign people and people from lower socio-economic status, they find that these people don't know what the actually problems in society are. But in general, people also get respect when they cleaning the house, or whether the professor. And then you're not really allowed to brag about your status. If you have a high education or a good job, then people say, you think you are something with your nose up, but it's not allowed to think your status is dependent on the amount of money. So people who have money try to be modest about it.
Yeah.
And it's also, you're not allowed at all to talk about someone's salary. Because my father, he was traveling to India, and then he very often brought guests. And for Indian people, it was very normal to ask for your salary. But if you do that to Dutch people, they get really offended, because this is like the biggest secret. You don't talk about money.
Of course. So I cannot, Marika, so I cannot ask you your age. That I do this for every lady.
But you can ask my age.
No, it's okay. I'll keep that. And also, I know that I cannot ask you for salary. Actually, that brings to a very important part of society, that any society who is happy, or I would say just thriving and doing better, they mostly values privacy and personal space. So I believe that your prime minister could ride on a bicycle to work.
Yeah, hopefully, yes, he will again, because during the COVID crisis, a lot of politicians were really threatened. So he couldn't go on the bike to work anymore. Or if he wanted to go, he has to be followed by the security forces. But I hope this will come back. But we were, I think, the only country almost in the world who had a prime minister biking and without any security measures.
Yeah. So you had such events that the prime minister was riding bicycle to work without security.
Especially because it looks good on camera. Because then he looks really down with the people. It's not that he's with the nose up and he's pretending to be better. No, he's just biking. This is the Dutch culture, I think. You're not allowed to show off.
Another question I have got for you, Marika, that paying from pocket for healthcare, like suppose if someone is unwell and they need to go to hospital, and in India, though the government is building up more and more hospitals, I do not want to compare one country to another, but I just wanted to, just mention something in the society, that in certain countries and certain societies, that people have to pay money from their pockets to get a healthcare at the time of getting the healthcare. But in your country, if someone has got a fever and needs hospitalization, when you go to hospital, who pays usually?
Yeah, it's not so simple, because we have the general practitioner. You're obliged to have health insurance. Everyone has to have health insurance. There's no, whether you can pay it or not, they will take it from your salary or from your, what do you call it? Where you get money from the state. They will just deduct it. You're obliged to have that. If you go to a general practitioner, it's always for free. If you go to the hospital, then you have your own risk of 350 euros, I think now. And above this own risk, then your insurance will pay it. So the maximum amount you have to pay for your health in a bad year is like 350 euros. And then you have some certain treatments which are not inside your insurance package. So like physiotherapy or something, this you have to pay yourself, but you also can have additional insurance for that. So you don't need to pay it. Okay. Basically, you cannot have any problems because of your health.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. And when you say that the insurance premium gets deducted from your salary, whether you want it or not, it will get mandatorily deducted, right? And I'm not going to ask anyone's salary, but usually how much percentage of that money is
that really differs. Like the insurance is about now, I think 110 euros in a month. So if you have no own income, then you get like 800 euro if you're a single person.
Okay.
I think the average wage, if you have a low income, is like 1,400, 1,500 euros a month. This is the minimum wage. And this can go up to, I don't know how much.
No, suppose someone gets, like, for an example, someone gets, suppose, 2,000 euro per month, for example.
Yeah, then
I'm
it's
saying.
always the same amount insurance.
Right. How much is the insurance?
It's about 110 euros, depending on which insurance company you have. And if
Right.
you have additional insurance, like my sons both have bracelets.
Okay.
So I have the highest of the highest insurance, because this is worth it. And I pay like 200 euro a month, but then it's everything included. So if I decide I want to have homeopathy, or I go to the physiotherapist or psychologist, every additional kind of healthcare is included.
Having some source of wealth or whatever we have earned, particularly towards the later part of their life, to retain that can be a major source of happiness. And in some societies, we sometimes spend awful lot of money on the weddings and marriages of our sons and daughters, and eventually we'll end up having only little amount of money for our future life just when we need the money most. That means in 60s and 70s. Then he will not have enough money to spend for his travels, holidays, or most importantly for his or her health, and that could be a major source of unhappiness and social insecurity in certain societies. During my stay in England, I found out mostly the sons and daughters who have got their decades of life ahead of us will actually fund their own wedding. It will not be the mothers and fathers who will be funding the wedding, but in certain societies where we live in, it will be kind of thought as a responsibility of mother or father to spend money on sons and daughters' wedding. The time is there now to think about and reflect on, is it the right choice, or we need to change our society? One more question that I do not know whether you will be happy to answer it or not. Yeah. Right, regarding in certain part of the societies in the world, spending for marriage or wedding is a really stinking amount, like in India, and Greece, and so we all used to have those called big fat wedding, that whatever you say, and sometimes it costs a lot of burden on the new couples and the families and stuff, because it erodes into their whatever money they could keep it safe for their future, and actually it dwindles down. But in Netherlands, I mean, what is your outlook regarding marriage, and how much one needs to spend, or one has to spend typically to getting married? I know you have got some surprising answers, but I will wait.
Yeah, but I think they're more surprising because I didn't tell everything yet. But first of all, a lot of people in the Netherlands don't get married. A lot of people in the Netherlands don't get married because you just only get married when you feel like, I want to have a party, I want to invite the whole world to or whatever. That's a reason to get married. Or when you're from a traditional family, which who is Christian. And of course, people from abroad, like people who are Muslim or whatever, they do have the big weddings. So you have the option not to get married. And then if you buy a house together, you just sign a contract together. So that's an option. And then you have the people who want to get married because then everything is already organized in one time for the children and whatever. And if they're cheap or don't have money to spend, they just go to the city hall and they get married, and that's it. And if they're happy with it, maybe they have a small dinner with the closest family. But if you want to, and you want to have a big party, then you spend a lot of money on it, and from really little to a lot. And my partner, I'm not married to, he's from Israel. And he went with me to weddings from my family, and he was disgusted. He said, "You Dutch, you are so cheap. How you can offer this kind of food on a wedding? What is this?" So the Dutch, if you want to get married, it's not a problem for your finances, because you just spend what you want to spend and spend how much you can afford. Right. But you can spend a lot if you want to. And people would not judge you if you do not get married. And no, only the foreigners. No, you don't get judged. Maybe, because it's like especially the higher you're educated, the less common it is to get married. A lot of people just sign a contract.
Yeah.
It's just, or you get married when you feel like it. Then you think, oh, we're already 20 years together. Oh, let's have a party. We get married.
Religion is another important thing. Spiritualism as a whole, that means the faith, can be a source of happiness. But if someone becomes quite radical in terms of the religion, it reduces their tolerance and also encroaches onto their happiness. It prevents someone being happy. Quite intriguingly, in some advanced countries and societies, interest to religion is changing. At some generations, people are very interested in religion. In next generation, they are not so. But how religious the Dutch people are, if they would like really show off their religion, or would you know that what religion someone has got, or people will not care about the religion much?
In general, most of the Dutch people are not so religious anymore.
Okay.
So this we had the periods in the 60s, 70s, and that people really drew back from the churches.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are still religious in name, and they go only with the holidays, like Christmas. They sometimes go to church, or they celebrate the holidays just because of the tradition, but not really because they're religious anymore. And they believe in something, that's what they all say, but it's not that they're very religious. And you have small communities which are very religious, and this we recognize also because you can recognize them on their clothing style. Then we say, oh, look, that is someone who is really religious. And then you have, of course, quite a large Muslim community in the Netherlands, where the older people are. The parents are more religious, and you see that the second and third generation is not so much religious anymore.
That's a very good.
For a lot of the Christian holidays, most Dutch people don't even know what they mean. They think, oh, it's happy, it's Easter, so we're free and we have our Eastern eggs, but they don't know that it's related to the death of Christ and his resurrection. They have no idea.
That's good to know how the country is evolving from test on religion. Like previously they had a lot of religion, and then now people are getting more liberal, which is very interesting. Privacy is another important thing. If we have got people around us who are very inquisitive and they want to know what I had in dinner and when I will have my child and when I will get married, then this type of situation and social circumstances may not be congenial to achieve happiness. Another important thing is regarding the privacy and respect to personal space.
Yeah.
Like suppose you go somewhere from work, you take some holiday or leave, even though it's not a holiday with holiday.
Yeah, but we have a lot. Oh, maybe that's also the part of the happiness of the Dutch. We have a lot of holidays. Not the holidays, but just vacation days you can take. It's like 23 days a year you can spend on whatever you want. Okay, that's good to know. And what I was going to say, that regarding the respect to privacy, like suppose you want to take one day off to go to somewhere, would you have to say at the workplace where you are going, or people will be? No, you don't have to say.
Yeah.
But like I have a PhD student, so when he takes vacation, I'm just interested. So I ask, you going to do something nice? But it's not that you need to tell me where he's going, but it's nice to chat if someone is going to do something nice for his holiday.
Yeah, but if people are not that nosy to find out exactly what they are going and stuff, so you respect kind of privacy.
Yeah, maybe they are nosy, but they will not show you. It's not polite. It's not allowed to be nosy about it.
If someone is nosy, then it can be said as it's being rude, right? It's not polite. Yeah. Next, we are going to discuss something about job. We have already discussed that job itself for earning money cannot give happiness. It can give pleasure, but we know already the pleasure does not equal to happiness. So, if you have got a job which creates value in someone else's life, then definitely you can find happiness within your job. But if you do a job which cannot add to the value to someone else's life, then you might have to find some ways to provide happiness for your own mind and soul. In most of the cases, in your job, you will be able to convert your job or at least your mental outlook to your own existing job so that it becomes a value adding exercise to someone else whom you do not know.
We have spoken a lot, Marika, and I really
Yeah.
hope that our audience likes it. How satisfying is job for you? I mean, not for you as a single person, but as a plural, because
It really depends, I think, on the type of job. If you, okay, I think it makes really, I'm not sure, maybe you know more, it depends on the level of education. So if you educated high, you can choose a job you really like and you enjoy. So that I have a job like that.
Yeah.
But some people, they cannot do so much, or they didn't get the opportunity. So if you're working in a factory only the whole day packaging cookies, I don't know how much they enjoy their job. A lot of Dutch people don't like to do this work. And then we have people from Poland or something who come here. And there was just recently research about it. And as soon as they start to do this job, they really lose a lot of happiness. So I think maybe this is also part. If you're just lucky enough in life to get a nice job you enjoy, that really makes a difference, I think.
Yeah, you do a lot of researches on quality of life and everything, but and that's why the quality of life and not necessarily only the length of life is important. That I understand, that I have developed more respect to that type of concept after working with you guys and doing the researches. But what I was saying, the job becomes more satisfying apparently if the person thinks, I mean, whoever is doing the job thinks that he is adding to value to someone's life. Do you feel that type of work you do, particularly in yourself, you are adding values to society? And do you think,
in my job, yes.
Of course you do.
Yeah, because I do research on people who have cancer and to see what is making the difference in quality of life. And this will eventually contribute to new medication, whether it's good for quality of life or not. So in this way, but it's not only that, like my husband, he has his own shops. Yeah. And he also enjoys it because he just find it really fun to make as much money as possible. And in this way, he's very satisfied.
If we think about evolution, we are supposed to look after other people without any exchange value. And this gives another source of happiness. Charity. Do some good to someone who you do not know. In our family, we keep on doing good to our near and dear ones, but that is fine. But if you can do something to some people without having any expectation, to give a little part of your joy to someone else who you do not know, that will give rise to happiness, and that is called charity. In most of the societies and the countries where charity is upheld in a big way, where charity is celebrated and charity is cherished, in those countries and society, happiness is more.
Another thing that social scientists, of course, you may be knowing more than me, that they also say that regarding the community, if a community has got some sense of doing charity to people who someone they do not know, that means if suppose I do something good for someone in my community who I do not know personally, that brings a little bit of more joy and happiness in myself, that I have done something without any interest in myself. And does your community support that type of
Dutch
outlook?
people really like to give to charity.
Okay.
And they really love it. And like now you have the Ukraine crisis, and then they have action on TV, and then people can phone and they can tell how much money they give, and then you see how much they raised every hour they show, and this really makes the Dutch people happy. They love to give to charities.
That's absolutely great, Marika. I'm so thankful to you for joining with us today. And I cannot express my gratitude enough for sparing of your that much of your time to come with us.